Have you ever wondered if there's actually a secret to living life with less stress, more confidence, and authentic happiness? One that's centuries old and still changing lives in Japan every day? Well, buckle up, because I just put an ancient Japanese philosophy to the test. And what happened shocked me in the best way possible. Let's talk about what I learned, how it turned my world upside down, and how it can totally change the way you see yourself and your relationships. Before we jump straight into this journey through Japanese philosophy and my own social mishaps, take a second to subscribe to the Growth Mindset Project and hit that bell. You know you want to keep growing and finding new ways to upgrade your thinking. Let's dive in. So, not long ago, I came across this Japanese book with a pretty wild title, The Courage to be Disliked. At first glance, I honestly thought, are you serious? Why would anyone want to be disliked on purpose? The idea sounded almost rebellious, like it was telling me to proudly collect haters as a virtue. But the more I thought about it, the more curious I became. The title stuck in my head like a riddle I had to solve. This led me down a rabbit hole of Japanese philosophy, old, yet still relevant wisdom about life, happiness, and the human need for connection. And the more I learned, the more I realized Japanese philosophy isn't always about quiet gardens or Zen tea ceremonies. Sometimes it's about understanding why we care so much about what people think of us and how to break free from that invisible prison. My journey took a literal turn when I moved to Japan, not for a calm retreat, but for snowboarding, travel, and to do that cliche thing of finding myself. You'd think the wildest part would be learning Japanese or speeding down snowy slopes. But no, the true challenge was living in a house with 40 strangers. For someone who's more introverted than social, that's like being tossed into a real-life episode of Survivor, Japanese style. But here's what hit me. As I read more on Japanese philosophy, especially the teachings in The Courage to be Disliked, I started noticing exactly how much my life was shaped by fears I didn't even realize I had. At the core was a lesson that changed everything for me: the separation of tasks. It's an idea that sounds simple, but is really a game changer. Here's how Japanese philosophy describes it. We are only truly responsible for our own tasks. Issues in relationships, stress, and anxiety often come from trying to do other people's tasks for them or letting them take over ours. It's about knowing what's truly our job and letting go of what isn't. I'll admit, at first my mind totally rejected the idea. I thought caring and helping was just part of being a good person. But I was mixing up two things Japanese philosophy makes totally clear: connection and entanglement. Connection, in the way Japanese philosophers see it, is each of us doing our own tasks, but sharing the experience with others. Entanglement is when we try to control or take responsibility for someone else's happiness, actions, or reactions. That's where so much stress is born. Let's get real for a moment, though, because these ideas can seem super abstract unless you have a real-life example. When I was a teenager, I remember blowing up my friend's phone, obsessing over why he wasn't replying to my invitation. Each unanswered message made me more desperate. I was way too invested in getting a specific response. In hindsight, it was kind of embarrassing to see how needy I was. Japanese philosophy would say, my only actual task was just to invite him. Whether he replied or not was his task. The more I tried to force his reaction, the more trouble I caused, and the further I drove him away. But look, it's not just teenage drama. We all do it. Offering advice nobody asked for, stepping in at work when someone needs to figure things out for themselves, or stressing out because someone doesn't see things our way. Japanese philosophy suggests all of this starts when we overstep the boundary of our own task. The magic happens when you recognize it and let go. If you're still watching and finding these insights on Japanese philosophy useful, drop a like and share in the comments if you've ever found yourself worrying about what others think way too much. It helps YouTube know we're building something meaningful together. Back to the story. So, living in Japan surrounded by a whole mix of personalities, I found it so tempting to just go with the flow, blend in, mask my real self, or hide the parts I thought might seem weird or different, like making YouTube videos about Japanese philosophy. All my instincts screamed, act the way you think will make you popular. But applying the separation of tasks gave me freedom. Japanese philosophy teaches us it's not actually my job to control or worry about others' judgments. My tasks are to pursue my values, passions, and projects, like staying in shape, filming, and riding the mountain, while the task of forming opinions about me belongs to everyone else. That's their business, not mine. This ancient Japanese philosophy also acts as armor. It protects you from people trying to control your choices. If someone judges your lifestyle, your work, or even your hobbies, what's happening is a crossing of boundaries. Japanese philosophy calls you to gently but firmly put the responsibility back in their court. It's a powerful shift when you fully realize you can't force someone to like or understand you, and you no longer have to twist yourself into knots trying. Japanese philosophy keeps hammering home that point. Authenticity comes from accepting responsibility only for your own choices and reactions, not for manipulating other people's feelings or decisions. It's honestly scary and liberating at the same time. Suddenly, I could show up as myself, stay true to what matters to me, and let everyone else handle their own reactions. Imagine how different friendships, workplaces, and even family gatherings would feel if we all embraced that ancient Japanese secret. Quick reminder to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're loving the journey into Japanese philosophy, and leave your take in the comments below. What's one task you're deciding to own for yourself? Back to what really counts. Japanese philosophy isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about respect, clarity, and courage. It means you can offer help, love, and support, but you do so without trying to run someone else's life. You don't owe anyone an explanation for pursuing your purpose, and you don't have to adopt their plans or stresses as your own. When you finally grasp that, it's like stepping out into the open air after years of living in a crowded room you didn't realize was suffocating you. Since starting to practice this, I feel lighter, less tangled up in the drama of what others think, and more focused on goals that matter to me. It's not instant magic. Old habits die hard, and sometimes I catch myself slipping back. But every day I remind myself, what is truly my task? What belongs to everyone else? Japanese philosophy tells me to be honest, brave, and yes, even okay with being disliked, if it means living truthfully. If you want more breakthroughs on how ancient Japanese philosophy can unlock joy and self-mastery, check out the other videos here on the Growth Mindset Project, and don't forget to ring that bell so you catch the next one. Give this ancient secret a try. You might just surprise yourself. See you in the next one.